Watching a giant struggle to stay afloat, that is what we are witnessing right now. Boeing, which has been the undisputed ruler of the skies for years, is now facing perhaps the most challenging test in its history. And this test could determine the future of aviation for decades to come. Once upon a time, an aircraft appeared that could do everything. After taking off from the short runway in Denver, it could land in Reykjavik easily and lightly. It could fly far enough to make intercontinental flights while carrying as many passengers as a narrow-body jet. This aircraft was the Boeing 757, an extremely innovative aircraft whose value would only be understood once it was gone. Many people view Boeing's decision to cease production of the 757 in 2004 without producing a suitable replacement as a historic mistake. They believe that airlines would either transition to smaller single-aisle aircraft or larger wide-body aircraft. However, this decision stifled the aviation industry and created a void. Airlines used the timeless 757s for years to fill this gap. The 757 had no rival because it had an excellent range, great flexibility, and was large and long. Boeing did not take advantage of this opportunity. However, Airbus was watching. 20 years later, the game changed. The Airbus A321XLR is an excellent aircraft and was developed as a competitor because it was built like a tank. This aircraft not only fills the middle of the market, but redefines it. The A321XLR's narrow-body economy and range of over 4,700 nautical miles offer us the ability to fly farther, use less fuel, and plan for comfortable, long-haul flights. Efficiency in a single aisle, the ambition of both sides. This is more than just an aircraft. The revolution is happening quietly. Orders are pouring in. Airlines like American, Turkish Airlines, Qantas, and JetBlue, which were previously reliant on the 757, are now betting on the XLR. Suddenly, routes like Berlin to Montreal or Boston to Rome are not only possible but also profitable. What about Boeing? They are currently in a state of uncertainty. While the MAX 10's capacity is promising, it falls short of the XLR's range. The much-discussed new mid-size aircraft, also known as the NMA or 797, has yet to move beyond the realm of fantasy. Boeing has consistently sided with its own interests, whether it be boardroom policies, the aircraft's persistent issues, or major crises. While Airbus was creating a masterpiece, Boeing was still in the planning stages. This is no longer just a race for products. We are changing the way we fly and the shape of our flights. This is about point-to-point travel, accessibility, and the continuous replacement of old hub and spoke paradigms with efficiency. Over the Atlantic, the skies are colliding. The Pacific is too, and beyond. The A321XLR's purpose was not dominance. It was designed to be flexible. It also exposed Boeing's greatest weakness, the cost of hesitation. The stage is now set. Airbus has taken the center stage. The spiritual successor to the 757 does not bear the Boeing emblem. Additionally, every time passengers board the XLR, they feel as though they have been transported to another world. However, it remains uncertain whether Boeing can reclaim the ground it has lost. Has Airbus permanently changed the course of history, or will the elusive 797 rise again and fly? One choice has brought us to the brink of a legend. Now, those with the courage to build the next one can determine the direction of flight. However, the A321XLR is not only capturing the mid-market, but also changing the fundamental perspective of airline operations. Traditionally, long-haul wide-body aircraft crossed oceans, while short-haul aircraft had an international flight limit. The A321XLR has blurred these boundaries. With a narrow-body, single-aisle jet, you can now travel non-stop from New York to Rome, Toronto to Lisbon, and even Singapore to Sydney. This is a game-changing opportunity for airlines. Thanks to aircraft like the A321XLR, which consume less fuel and carry fewer passengers, many routes that were previously unprofitable due to low demand are now economically viable for wide-body aircraft. Large aircraft, especially in a post-pandemic world where demand has declined, were not being invested in and were feared. As a result, hundreds of XLR orders have been placed by companies like JetBlue, American Airlines, Wizz Air, and many others. From the passenger's perspective, this experience is different from other narrow-body aircraft. Thanks to Airbus's wide-body interior design, long flights are now more bearable. This design includes quieter cabins, more overhead luggage space, modern seat arrangements, and wider bathrooms. Despite being narrow-body, it doesn't feel cramped. However, Boeing's story is quite different. For years, the company ignored the gap left by the 757. Instead, it focused on expanding the 737 MAX family. However, when compared to the A321XLR, the longer-range MAX models, especially the MAX 10, performed worse in terms of cabin capacity, range, and takeoff efficiency. The long, silent, new mid midsize aircraft, also known as the 797, remains just a rumor. For airlines, this situation raises a simple yet crucial question. If you were to purchase a new aircraft today for medium-range, low-cost, flexible operations, is there an alternative to this aircraft? The answer is typically the A321XLR, and Airbus is leveraging this advantage to capture a significant portion of the market. However, the story does not end here. Boeing set the standard for decades with models like the 707, 727, 737, and others. Aviation history was shaped by the influence of these aircraft. However, this momentum came to a halt in the 2000s as competition dwindled to zero. The company was shaken, but the prolonged delays of the 787 Dreamliner and the damage to its reputation following the MAX crisis severely impacted its ability to make bold decisions. Boeing's biggest strategic mistake during this period was not introducing an alternative to the 757. The need for a long-range, narrow-body, high-performance jet aircraft was clear. Recognizing this, Airbus produced the A321neo and then the XLR. Boeing, however, hesitated. This indecision allowed its rival to gain a years-long advantage. As the A321XLR nears service entry, Boeing still cannot provide a definitive response. No official statement has been made about the 797 project. Boeing planned to eliminate competition by increasing the range of the MAX family, but this is only a temporary solution. Because airlines don't just buy aircraft, they buy a vision. Additionally, Boeing has not presented us with another aircraft that reflects this goal. Airbus, on the other hand, is not only selling aircraft, but also offering us a new generation of aircraft. With the A321XLR, new intercontinental routes are opening up. Secondary airports are emerging as intercontinental hubs. Boston to Berlin, Miami to Manchester. These routes are now profitable. Direct flights provide comfort to passengers, while airlines benefit from cost savings and operational flexibility. What does this lead to? With the A321XLR, Airbus has not only chosen the middle ground, but has also created a new market niche, the long-range narrow-body aircraft market. And this market will continue to grow. The industry is moving towards more flexible and efficient aircraft due to low-density routes, pilot shortages, environmental pressures, and rising fuel prices. Airbus is already preparing its next step. The new generation A320 family is developing hydrogen-powered prototypes, digitizing cabin systems, and increasing the sustainability of production. The A321XLR is not just an aircraft, it is a new generation of aircraft for the future. Boeing's situation is more complex. The much-discussed 797 project is still in the development phase. The reputation of the MAX family is still being restored. Additionally, while the 787 Dreamliner excels in long-haul travel, it cannot compete with the XLR's mid-range agility. Boeing remains a well-known brand. Thanks to its supply chains, engineering heritage, and brand loyalty, it is still in the game. However, how it will utilize this strength remains a challenge. If Boeing takes a risk and produces a brand new specially designed aircraft for this market, the balance could shift once again. However, time is running out. Because Airbus is not only affecting today, but also tomorrow. It will take 5 to 6 years for airlines to receive the XLR orders they place today. Boeing is thus at risk of losing both today and the future. The most interesting aspect is that this is not just a conflict between Boeing and Airbus. The focus of the debate is whether we will decide how to fly or whether others will. Who will design these aircraft to be more environmentally friendly, more compatible, requiring fewer crew members, and more fuel efficient, while also providing the highest level of passenger comfort? Who will adapt faster, and who will make the first major mistake? What do you think? Can Boeing make a comeback and change the course of events, or has Airbus truly solidified its dominance in the skies? This time, every seat could be a battlefield as the future of aviation takes shape. In the coming years, the answers will emerge in the skies, and I will be following every development as this fascinating aviation drama unfolds. What do you think? Is it too late for Boeing to focus on producing the 797? Share your thoughts below.